Okay, first official YouTube video. My name is Lexi Kaz. I'm a college dropout turned digital nomad serial entrepreneur. And these are 5 stupid simple lessons I wish I knew sooner. So number 1, I would say, is consistency. Easier said than done, right? But there's no coincidence that the majority, if not all, entrepreneurs you talk to say you just need to stay consistent. And being a former college soccer player, I should have known that sooner, right? Like, you don't get to be a Division I player, a professional player, even a club player without putting in work over time that compounds. And so consistency and staying consistent with anything that you do, you're gonna suck at first, as Hormozi always says, right? Like, you're not gonna be good at first. But too many people give up because they're not patient enough, or they won't stay consistent to see the compounding effect over time. So I would say number 1 is consistency. Okay, here we go. New day, same me. Let's jump just straight into number 2. Number 2, the second piece of advice that I wish I knew sooner is track everything. If I could tell 19-year-old Lexi one thing, I'd tell all the 5 things, but the number 1 thing to determine if you're being successful or if ideas or implementation that you are testing is successful is to track it. Like, I didn't even know that there was something called a show up rate to your sales calls, or a closing rate, or an opt-in rate, when how many times people opt into your landing page. Like, there's so much that you can track and should track the date, track the name of the person that you reached out to, track the hour that you made that Instagram reel. Like, it applies across all businesses, and that is one of the most important things that I've now started to apply in my business. We grew 449% last year with my books because of many reasons, but I am very positive that if you track your progress like that, I just tracked that, right? You'll be able to determine what's working, what's not, and what you want to keep doing that's already working. Number 3 is content. Like, as you see, I'm making this now. I know I'm going to look back at this video and be like, oof, okay, that was your first. It's never going to be the best, right? The first is always the hardest. Just like in any sport, in a language, in first dates, like, that's why the first is the hardest, because most people don't do it. And I wish I started making content sooner, because my publishing business grew as much as the number I just told you because of the tracking, because of consistency, but without a doubt because of TikTok and because of the consistent posting. I posted 200 videos on TikTok. It was like 198, I rounded up, before the 199th went viral. And it went viral, but didn't even convert, right? But at that point, I was like, I don't care, like, it's viral. I don't even know what that means, but we're getting views, right? And so proof of concept comes from consistency, from tracking, and from just doing and starting, because most people don't. And so I wish I did that sooner. I wish I recorded the first time, I had the idea of starting a business with my agency, with the publishing, because you want to look back on that and be like, that's the other thing too. Like, you can look back at your journey as an entrepreneur, and everybody with a digital, phone, laptop, iPad in this day and age has that opportunity to record their journey as an entrepreneur. And I think that's beautiful. So that's another reason why it's great, but it also drives your business, whether you're in a service space, whether you have products, whether you are, selling a course. Content compounds, and I wish I started that sooner, because I'm seeing it firsthand how much it's compounding since I started. Number 4 will probably sound a little cliche, but I'm gonna say it again because it is so true, is just start. So many people spend their entire lives coming up with ideas and never taking action on it because they're scared, because maybe they don't have the money they think they do, because nobody else in their environment's doing it, because people aren't supporting them. Those are all real things, but at the end of the day, it's your life and it's in your hands. If you take ownership over your life, read the book Extreme Ownership, listen to the audiobook, because it's a Navy SEAL, Jocko, and it's a really good read. But what I'm trying to say is, if you take ownership over your own life, and you take ownership, you take ownership and have the notion that everything you do, everything you want to do, everything that's happening to you, every environment that you're in, every person that you're interacting with, you have the opportunity to focus on what you can control and take action on if you want to change it. Take action on if you want to keep doing that. And so I believe so many people just stay stuck in the not knowing phase forever, or the I'm trying to do this, or I want to do this. It's like, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You tried and it didn't work out. Okay, now you're that much better at knowing what you should be doing. And obviously be responsible, but there are a lot of people in worse situations than you, and being able to actually just start is the number one most powerful thing. I know there's tons of research on it, most likely, probably Mel Robbins talks about it as well. But it's like, just start and track and stay consistent and post content, and all these pieces of advice compound. But at the end of the day, just start. And then the fifth one, and it's my favorite because there's no way that I would have known this one. Like all the other ones you probably heard before, but the fifth one, I don't believe you've probably heard this one, or it's probably not a common one that people talk about, but it's so important. I was reading the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a very old book. Like it talks in Shakespeare English. So I didn't finish all of it. I read most of it. I got the gist, right? I think that's also, bonus tip. Like if you're reading a book and you feel like you understand it, I used to be like, no, I gotta finish this. Like, it's my responsibility. I want to actually say I finished this book. But if it's not serving you, and your time is currency, your time is so valuable, then you can stop, right? You take what you learned, process it, and go on with your life and read more books. So anyways, I was reading The Richest Man in Babylon, and I was going through an experience during that time where I really needed to hear this piece of advice. And it was so synchronistic. Like, the universe doesn't make mistakes. And in the chapter, it talked about, I'm gonna butcher the exact quote. So basically it was like, be careful who you take advice from. Advice is free, right? Anyone can give it. But true, wise people want to give advice, and they're not gonna ask you for anything in return. And so essentially I was in a position where I was trusting someone and I was taking advice from someone when they wanted something in return, and the most important thing is they didn't have the experience that I thought they did. Like, don't trust someone's piece. Here's my quote that I'm gonna sum up. Be conscious of who you take advice from, because if they don't have that experience, you shouldn't be taking advice from them, right? Conscious who you take advice from, because not everyone has done the experience that you want to do. And if someone's saying, don't start a business, it's so risky, all this stuff, have they started a business? And if they have, has it been successful? And if they have, if it wasn't successful, ask them what happened and learn from it. And so, be conscious of who you take advice from. I believe you should only take advice from people who have experience that you want to experience. And so that's my biggest, that's my biggest piece of advice from the fifth one, is like, be conscious and be aware of who you take advice from. Jumping in here because I just wanted to emphasize one thing. Obviously, new day, different outfit, but I wanted to emphasize one thing, is that you don't have to be taking advice from me, right? My advice is my own experience. I have a PR agency. I have experience in the service, delivering service-based products to customers. Almost 4 years now. I have experience building a publishing company and KDP, Amazon KDP, and manufacturing, and I'll of course continue to explain my journey along the way, but that's my experience, right? If you don't want to learn those things, no hard feelings. Don't take advice from me. That is your decision. That is your choice, and I respect that, right? I just want to emphasize that even on YouTube, even short form content, even videos you're watching, choose wisely who you consume and who you take advice from. If they don't have experience that you want to replicate within yourself and within your own life, then you don't need to take it, and you shouldn't take it. And that's only for you to determine and decide. That's it. Those are my 5 pieces of advice that I wish I knew after dropping out of college and before starting my businesses, but I don't regret anything. I believe you need to learn by doing, and I'm going to keep posting on this YouTube channel my journey as an entrepreneur. Follow along, join my journey of experiencing my experiences, and if I can help one more entrepreneur, then I'm doing my job. So I'll link below my socials and my companies, and thank you for watching if you've come this far.